nothing you can't undo. Hard time won't get the best of you.
turned it on? Yeah, hard time, bitches. Uh-oh. Am I doing hard time tonight now? What's this?
No, I was just waiting for the music to end. Usually the music ends and then we talk. So
you know what? I was rapping.
I'll let you just do your thing.
I
man.
was
Do
lip
what you gotta
syncing.
do.
I was in it. I was lip syncing.
All right. Well, Sue says great song. Christian Nelson. It sounded like King Crimson.
Well, you know, it's interesting. That's from the Torque album. Mark played me the riff that you're hearing repeated over and over again. He didn't even actually play it for me. Down, boys, down. Welcome, Thursday nighters. We were recording other demos, for that record in that time period, and he was just sitting there doing that, just playing that. What?
Staring at the laundry.
No, that was different.
I know.
He was sitting there and just playing that. I think it's a flat 5 thing. And it was like, and I said, "What is that?" And he said, "Oh, it's an intro." I said, "No, it's not. That's a verse." And he said, "Really? To what?" And it was you actually that said we should try the lyrics from Hard Time.
Right. Well, so Chris is saying it's not that you plagiarized, it just influences the King Crimson. And he said, you must love King Crimson, Steve.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I like progressive music, and I like,
I saw them in concert because I knew the chord of the Crimson King. Yeah.
Who was in the band when you saw them?
I don't even know who was ever in the bands that I saw.
What was I thinking?
Right. I didn't go for that reason.
No, I know.
Because I like the music.
Okay.
I mean, back then they didn't have people's pictures on album covers. I didn't even know what the guys in Led Zeppelin looked like.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of, Dee Dee, love you.
Okay, love you too.
Okay, I hope you're watching, Dee Dee, wherever you are, you Texas Rose.
Oh wait, Tim is still recovering from last night's show, and and Patrick, Michael Newton says yes, last night's show was great.
Last night's show.
Mm-hmm. And
I have
Sue
some
says
kind
she
of burnout,
loves
I got to tell you.
Adrian Ballou, who was guitar player in King Crimson at one point. You're some kind of burnout. It was Anything Goes Wednesday.
No, I remember. I got busted for playing Hymn 43 because it's like, come on.
I don't think anybody knows that.
Well, they do now. The cat's out of the bag.
But we had Jackie on part of his repeat.
That was fun.
He's funny.
I like finding a clip like that.
Oh, and Zippy. We had Zippy.
Right. Oh, right. The Zippy in the drum solo. And, are you getting these texts?
No. I'm doing a show.
Yeah, so am I.
Tim McCullen. Wow. Even Robert Plant about they weren't on the album cover. You think they would have just put Robert Plant and not Jimmy Page? No, not even Robert Plant.
No.
Go look at the Led Zeppelin album cover. You won't see their pictures.
Well, that's not true.
In the beginning?
In Led Zeppelin 1, if I'm not mistaken, the black and white cover with the Hindenburg crashing in the background, there's the picture of the 4 of them blended in with the other people.
Oh, well, how would you know that if you didn't know what they looked like?
Well, eventually you would find out.
Well, there's that.
So, very exciting day today. Very exciting
I don't see
day.
any people on that album cover.
Oh, then that's the wrong one. Maybe it's on the back. Is it the back? Maybe it's Led Zeppelin 2.
I don't know.
I don't know. There's one where they're standing around with like Amelia Earhart or something. I don't know. I didn't do that. Was not the cover art. Speaking of cover art, sent a couple of more images in for the Oxzoomed cover. Very excited to to bring that to you. I had a little nightmare for a few days there in the studio, but I'm happy to report that everything is fine and dandy. And I've got so many shows recorded now. I'm gonna have to list where they are, because I mean all the dates, and it's funny because there's some kind of a touring directory, where we played or where everybody played. But now let's see.
Is it Dee Dee?
I mean, Tooth Hurts.
Oh, stop it!
Please.
Can you not do that?
It's not who you think it was. Anyway, so it's all just coming along. The album cover is starting to look great. I'm excited about that. The songs, I think it's a total of 30 songs, and if we wind up doing the vinyl, there'll be more than that. It's a very exciting project. The only thing missing is being able to call up my bud and tell him, hey, guess what? But I think somehow he's getting the picture. Yes?
Yes.
Yes. So. Oh.
Well, there's our guest.
I think that's our guest. This is going to be interesting. She's a great musician and an old friend. Ding dong. Come in. And getting closer. Oh, I see us. I don't hear us, but I see us.
Hi, Steve.
Hey, I hear you. How you doing, Annie?
Good. How are you?
Good, thanks.
It's just a picture
It's just
of you.
you're not broadcasting or
No.
whatever.
Okay. Oh, here we go. Start video. There we go.
There you
Okay,
go.
There you go.
Got it. Got it.
How are you?
Good. I'm doing fabulous. How you doing?
Pretty fabulous. Welcome to the club, or I'm happy to be in your club. I'm having a good time.
Great.
It was funny because we'll just jump right into it, because this is the conversation that you and I, this conversation we're about to have, is the one that we might have had somewhere at one of those shows that we played together. It's just that stuff never happened back then. But it's really about, finally getting to sit down and talk to somebody from, back in the day. It's just fun. It's good to see you. You look good.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, and I'm wondering, because Laura, Russ came on, right? Now I have,
And that all happened
that
strangely.
this is so bizarre. All right? Russ and Laura went down to Key West, right? I mean, they were there for a long time, right? Or do you know that? Did you know that?
Yes, she actually wanted me to go with her, but I was married at the time. So
Uh-huh.
they went and I stayed here. So yeah,
Okay.
that was probably 20 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was even longer than that, but yeah. So you stayed here. Where is here?
I stayed Mayapack, Putnam
Yeah.
County. Yeah.
That sector. So, and I'm only asking questions. This is not an interview. It's just you and me having a phone call that we would never have under any other circumstances. But it's strange because Carrie Ash, Sam Ash in White Plains,
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Carrie Ash, ex-wife of Sammy, and I have been friends for years and years. Lori and her, that's Lori, my wife and producer over.
Hi, Annie.
Hi, Lori. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Anyway, Carrie stayed friendly with over the years, and she's always reached out with a good, friend for the show or whatever. She says to me, my friend TJ down in Key West is like one of your biggest fans, and he'd love to do the show. So I said, well, you know what? That's great. So we had TJ on the show, and then somehow TJ leads to Russ Cavelli. Right? And it's like,
because they knew each other in Key West.
Right, because they knew each other in Key West, which is like
But
weird
neither
because
one of them knew that.
I know Russ from Mayapack, from Mayapack Music.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, and I had no idea about Laura and Russ. None. I mean, this is me, being, it's me. And I had no idea they were a couple. I had no idea for 20, 30, whatever it's been. And it was like, whoa. It was like super flashback time. So I have seen you. I think we're friends on Facebook. And I've followed some of the things that, you've been doing, which is, you got to be very proud of some of those accomplishments.
Yeah.
So that's that kind of catches us up. But where?
But wait, you didn't finish the story.
Which story?
So TJ said, "I got you somebody named Russ."
Right, and that's what I said. And I didn't know about Laura, and Laura led to the skirts, and the skirts led to whatever.
They live where we live. They live like 10
they live like
away
20
from us.
minutes from where we are. It's crazy how close,
Yeah, it is, right? Small world.
Yeah.
Yeah, really small. But so now, because I had no idea, and this is believe me, it's not a skirts reunion, but I had the skirts to me, because I was in my world, if you recall my world at the time, and it was my world and whatever. And so I remember the skirts happening all, I think, at the same time, which I understand now later, years later, that's not the case. And I realized, too, where it all went together. But Laura said that she told Dave about you as a guitar player. Or was it you guys were looking for a drummer and Dave told you about Lynn?
Yeah, I don't know whether, and this is where it gets crazy, because I actually just sold Lynn a house last year in North Salem. She saw me on Facebook. She saw I was doing real estate, and she said, "Hey, we want to move." Somebody kept knocking on her door, offering to buy her house for like $1.2 million in cash. So I said, "Okay." So she said, "We're gonna sell this house, and we want to move." So I ended up selling her the house over in North Salem. But it was good to see her again. But small world. But here's where it gets a little gray, the story. I'm like, this is a gray area, because I said, did we find Lynn through Sam Ash? Because we used to go to Sam Ash, and we said to them, do you know any female drummers? And I think that's when he said, oh yeah, well, Dave Camella's girlfriend, plays drums. Because at that time, I mean, let's face it, Steve, there weren't a lot of female musicians.
No,
No.
not at all.
20, like in all of like Westchester, Putnam, it was hard to find females. So that's when we met Lynn. And then after that, we found a bass player. So I started out as the lead guitar player. And then I had to switch over to bass because the bass player left, and they said to me, "Hey, you're dating a bass player. Why don't you be the bass player?"
So that makes sense to me. You're dating a heart surgeon. Have at it.
So I ended up in a week having to learn how to play the bass parts, which I still thought I was a lead guitarist. So they had to kind of reel me in a little, because I wasn't a lead bass player.
Yeah, because I knew one of those, but I remember you as a guitar player. I remember you as the guitar player. That's what I remember.
Yeah. So we ended up finding another guitar player, and then I was the bass player at that point. So by default.
Whatever flow, whatever gets you down the river. It's funny because, and I wasn't going to do it tonight because I didn't want to put you on the spot, but when I started doing this show and I decided I just wanted to talk to old friends or people that haven't either seen in decades or, this. I started digitizing some old tapes, and I actually found a performance
Come on.
of
Come on.
my child approaches. Come in, big baby.
Hello.
Remy?
Yeah.
Remy, I remember when you were trying to find a name for the dog. You were asking everybody what the name was.
Yeah.
Almost 6 years ago.
Yeah, almost 6 years ago. Yeah, it'd be 6
And I
years
also love the video of the dog singing when you guys pulled up in front of the Salvation Army for Christmas.
Oh, right.
That's right.
That was his first song that he ever sang. But I'll tell you a funny thing. When it's his birthday, it's like, we're like a couple of crazy people. We wrap his presents and leave them in the living room the night before. He goes to bed. He gets up the next day. He doesn't leave the bedroom until we start singing happy birthday, and he is just gone like a shot, right? So the other day, we're singing to somebody else because that's what we do. We'll call people up and sing to them, and he starts running into the living room like there's something in there for him. And he's a laugh a minute, man.
I love dogs.
Yeah. You have dogs? You have pets?
I have a cat, and I work with the SPCA. Actually, I volunteer with them. So that's one of my charities. Because I feel like I'm so fortunate now. I'm doing so well in the real estate industry. Let me give back a little. So that's what I do.
You must be killing it. Our real estate empire was just dumb luck for us. Right place, right time, just following, going where you led. But you're really carving something out up there. So what's your main territory? Is it that North Salem corner, or are you all over the place?
Yeah, I pretty much cover Putnam, Westchester, Rockland, Dutchess, but mainly Westchester, Putnam.
Yeah.
I grew up in Putnam. I'm familiar with Putnam. But yeah, I have a lot going on right now. And I said, I'm retired. Let me do real estate like part-time. Well, guess what? It's not a part-time job because you get to be so busy. I mean, luckily for me, people do struggle with it in the beginning, but my whole family's in real estate. But the difference is they're in the Hamptons where the real money is.
That's got to be a whole different thing out there.
There's no money up in Salem.
Yeah, there's plenty of money.
There's money, but a big sale up in Putnam County, say like Mayapack is like 1.5 million, and down in the Hamptons it's like more like 20 million.
Oh, there you
well,
go.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, were you ever to our house on Tuckahoe Road?
The
No.
band house, Larry's house.
Wait a minute. Did you used to live near Putnam Valley when you guys like shared a house?
Well, we had the horse farm on Baldwin Place Road.
No, I think this might have been before that.
That would have been
Oh, that was the one Dave had with
the cat house. No, the horse farm was the first with Gordon. With Larry, because Larry was still in the band.
that was the Hamptons house, Southampton.
The Hamptons house, yeah.
Because I just saw Dave like a couple of months ago with Karen. She actually they were cleaning the gutters and she fell off the ladder and broke both of her ankles.
Oh, man.
So yeah, I was going to buy pet food and Dave with the cats. So I ran into them there and I said, I saw her limping and I said, what's going on? Yeah, she fell off of the ladder. I said, it's cheaper to get somebody to clean them now.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Wow. I had no
Both
idea.
ankles.
Is she all right? Well,
she's okay. They found a good surgeon for her and whatnot. So, but yeah. And then, he was asking me, remember Marcel?
Yeah.
Bass player for Richie. He's like, oh, whatever happened to Marcel? But, unfortunately, I didn't have good news there because he had passed away. He went down to Louisiana. But, I see a lot of people that I used to see. I keep in touch with Jimmy Akesian. I keep in touch with Laura, of course. But yeah, not like you. You keep in touch with everybody.
Well, lately, yeah, because of this, absolutely. But and it's cool, man. I mean, and I'm happy to keep in touch with everybody. It's cool. It's the thing. One of the thing that I miss most, and it wasn't even back in the rat race days. It was after that, in the longer, touring situations where you wouldn't see anybody for weeks and weeks, and it was just, like the four of you and a couple of roadies and a road manager, and that whole thing. And then all of a sudden, you'd pull into a festival or a gig anywhere, and who's opening up for you but whoever, and Kenny Anderson is the bass player. It's like, man, what are you doing? So that was the idea behind me doing this. I wanted that kind of, spontaneous combustion.
So I guess you're not playing music anymore.
Well, no, I don't play out, but I play just for myself, but not professionally.
Well, so all right, so let's go back. So you're a Putnam County person. How did where did that come into for you? I mean, I have no idea. So how did that start?
Well, like years ago, my brother used to be a drummer, and he had like bands that used to play at the fore and aft. And so, I said, I wanted to play an instrument because I always wanted to emulate my brother. So I said, I'll play something where we can maybe one day play together. So I started the guitar, and, I had a knack for it. So I would take lessons, and there was somebody down the street that was giving guitar lessons. So my mother used to give me money for the guitar lessons, and I would keep the money and buy pot.
My kind of girl.
And pretend I was at a guitar lesson. But, there was times when I would show up. But I guess really I got interested in it when I met Richie Scarlett, and I was taking lessons from him. So, and that's when the whole thing transitioned into me meeting Laura and getting into an all-girl band with her.
That's
so Richie's the common denominator.
Richie's the common. And what was that, over at Ed's in Danbury, or was it somewhere else?
That was way before that. That's when he was going out with remember Captain Lou, Linda. He was going out with Linda Albano at that time. Lou.
Oh wow, was that before or after Laurie?
That was way before that.
Oh wow.
He had just changed his name from Kuman to Scarlett. That's how long ago that was.
That was a long time ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was a long time ago. And that's when he was trying to get everyone to call him by his other name. And people were so used to calling him Richie Kuman that they didn't,
Yeah.
And he said, no, that's not my name,
Hey man, I'll tell you what,
Well,
I have a
Richie
lot of
Scarlett
respect
now.
for Richie. I ran down the road with him, with Leslie. I mean, we toured a lot of places and did a lot of miles together. He was always fun on the road. He was a good guy and always a great musician, knew his parts.
Yeah, he was playing bass.
He was playing bass. So yeah, he was pulling an Annie. But,
he was predestined. And he doesn't remember this, but I always told him he used to play the piano. I mean, he was just one of these people that could transition to any instrument, so anything, of course, that had strings on it, he could play, and I could probably do the same. But I was like, he was like multifaceted, and I always thought that he would like go out, get his own album, but then he started playing with other people. And, I think he kind of gets sucked in a little bit.
You get sucked in, and I'll tell you what, because do you remember Frankie DeVille, the bass player, Frankie?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, Richie, Frankie, and I had a trio for a minute. And I was talking about this with Laura. I haven't thought about this in forever. I have a picture of it somewhere. We were going to take a band picture, but we were going to do it on the bowling alley side of Briar Patch.
Right.
So we went over there, and here's me. Everybody's wearing motorcycle jackets or whatever, and Frankie is so short, and I'm so tall that we made Frankie stand on a bowling ball. It's the funniest picture, man. It's one of those like snapshots in your life.
Yeah.
Freaking hysterical.
Okay, so you must know Bert Hackett because he's saying, "I love you, Annie."
Bert Hackett.
Oddly enough, I got a friend request from him today on Facebook.
Oh, you don't know him?
I do know him, but
Oh, okay.
I didn't know why. I wasn't friends with him already on Facebook, but yeah, because I saw him on your Facebook saying he had a crush on me, and I'm like, all these guys had a crush on me, but nobody said anything.
Wow.
Isn't that, that's, hey, listen, to talk about, tell Jimmy Fallon and Nicole Kidman, but, what can I, listen, it's all went the way it was supposed to go, I guess, right?
Yeah, I find out like 30 years later, hey, did you know I had a crush on you? And I'm like, no, why didn't you say anything to me?
Well, you know why, right?
Yeah, well, they thought that I was unapproachable, apparently,
Well, you were cool. I mean, you're rock chick in a band, man. That's a tough
right.
one to,
So
it's tough. That's
a little
tough.
intimidating, right, for men, but
It's funny because I had a friend from junior high school on the show named Diane Scanlon. She is an amazing artist, and she was, I'll come to find out, she wasn't older than me, but I had heard that there was this girl in my junior high school that wore a leather jacket and was in a band.
Yeah.
And it was like, what?
And that was way.
Like, whoa, we're talking about like 60, whatever it was. And it was, she was cool. And when I finally had her on the show, it was just so much fun to talk to her and tell her the things, and she's still in it, so.
Yeah.
So, all right, so let me understand this then. The Skirts formed. Was that your first band?
yes.
Wow.
Yeah, there were many after the Skirts, but that was, because I was just getting out of high school, and we were playing at the Fore and Aft. We were open for a lot of people. Richie, remember Joe Savage?
Sure. Joe
The
Savage.
Chainsaw. He was quite the performer. So him and of course my brother's band was there, Parallax, and we were always the opening act. But Laura and I had many bands after that. We had like country band, we had the Laura Black band. We had a lot of bands up until the time she moved to Florida.
Wow. Well, so you stayed in it.
Yeah, her and I were always like a thing. She was like, we were like sisters.
So when she made the trip to Florida, was that it for you, or what happened?
Well, I was kind of like, at the very end, me, Russ, and Laura were in a band, and then we had like an acoustic thing. We were just doing like Beatles stuff. We had so many things going on. But as soon as they left, and then I had like back surgery, because let me tell you something, Steve, we always carried our weight. Like if we had to move gear, we would move gear,
I know, you guys were tough.
Yeah, we didn't want to be held to a different standard because it was hard enough being a female musician in the 80s. We did not want anyone like looking down their noses. Oh, look at them, they're too prissy to move gear. But after the back surgery, I kind of like chilled out. And then Laura left with Russ.
Wow. Yeah. So, man, back surgery, that's not easy holding an axe over your shoulder for all those hours jumping around.
So, it takes stamina, So,
oh, yeah.
That's very physical, but so.
But so it just like abruptly ended for you? It just stopped? There wasn't even a consideration of should I do this or can I do that? Or
I was kind of like at the end of my deal, and then I had gotten married, and my husband at the time was not thrilled about me like playing in clubs, so it just kind of, it was a combination of things.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that was it. Because, listen, if I wasn't married, I probably would have moved to Florida with Laura. So, but yeah, I was.
There's that.
Well, you know what they say about if, right? I mean, you can get, if the
I
queen.
should have went. We ended up divorced, and I was like, I should have went.
Well,
She should have went, she said.
well, listen, you know what? You seem pretty happy to me right now, so
Yep.
that
I
means
am.
that means it's a wide open sky. There's a reason the windshield is so big and the rear view is so small.
You know what? I still have your 45. Remember when you guys were struck by lightning? And what was the other side of that?
Bittersweet love.
Bittersweet Love. And it was each hit music. But if you said it fast, it sounded like eat shit music, right? Am I correct? Right? You guys were like so witty.
That's exactly right. That's yeah. That's
I
man.
remember all this stuff.
And it's funny because Laura, I had Laura did the show, and she pulled out the 45, and it was like, oh man, it was cool. Listen, that was, that was like the end of vinyl and that whole thing. It's interesting. I have friends that have been in the band. One of my good friends is Gene Cornish, who you know from the Rascals, and it happened to the Rascals, in 1970. Like they were like the biggest thing ever in the world, all through the '60s or whatever. It was like, oh man, and then bang, 1970. That was it. It was over. And
Well, Lenny's weighing in. Remember the Good Rats?
Yeah. Do you remember the Good Rats?
Oh, gosh, yeah. Mhm.
Okay, well, Lenny, the former bass player,
Lenny Kotke.
he comes in every week, mostly. He just said, windshield big, rear view small. That was pretty fucking deep.
Well, okay, it's well, Lenny, I'm glad you took some time to absorb that, bro.
And Bert is saying fish heads live at the Gemini was freaking hysterical.
Oh wow.
Lori, you know what, Lori? That's the first time I met you was at the Gemini in the dressing room. And you and Steve were having this, well, I guess you were trying to tell the story and Steve was trying to tell us some story about you guys stopping for breakfast at like 5 o'clock in the morning and wanting to get like what he was calling breakfast meat. But the guy wouldn't let you order it because it wasn't the right time. And then I remember this crazy stuff. And then so Lori was trying to tell the story, and then Steve said, "No, I'm going to tell the story."
So you know what? 40 years later,
And did he tell the story?
who told?
He
Yeah.
told the story, Lori. He did. He won.
I'm gonna because I gotta think. Do you remember when Mark knocked himself out on I think it was on his birthday, and he had to get stitches in the top of his head? Does that ring a bell to you at all?
Was that the time that somebody threw something off of the?
No.
No, that was me.
Oh, that was you.
He
Somebody
was driving.
you
It was me that got hit.
And
I got
Sharon,
hit.
yeah.
and Sharon. Yeah, guys were in the Corvette, right?
No. We were in her. I think it was a Ford Fairlane. Mark was driving, and you want to hear a weird story? Mark was driving. We were going to play L'Amour's in Queens. Mark's driving. Sharon's in the middle. I'm in the passenger seat. And in typical me fashion, I said, "Hey, Sharon, you want to smoke a joint? Because this stuff will blow your face off." The next thing that I remember was like coming out of this afterlife experience. I don't want to go into that whole thing, but that's the last thing I said to her before that thing hit us. And if she and I sit next to each other, the scar in my chest and in her face line up. It's like,
Oh my God, I remember that. That was just crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was nuts. And I remember the first thing that I did. I asked Lori to marry me when I was in the hospital. That's
Yep.
where I asked her to marry me.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, and the first thing that I did when I came to, we're supposed to have no depression here, but what I remember wanting to smoke a joint with Sharon, and then waking up and seeing like a totally shattered windshield with a slice through it, like somebody had sliced through it with a hot butter knife, right? And I look over to the left, and Sharon is cut from here to her ear, like just blasted open. I don't even know if there's anything wrong with me. And so we're in the middle of the Bronx River Parkway, like on the median, not even on the, on the side that you would be okay.
And Mark
just
was
under
driving.
this bridge.
Yeah.
And Mark just pulled right over, like, what happened? I mean, it was like a howitzer went off.
What a shock, right? Yeah.
Shock. I get out of the car, right? The cars are whizzing by. We're on our way to a gig. So what is it, 7:30, 8 o'clock? Cars are whizzing by us on the Bronx River Parkway, and I'm sitting on the guardrail, and I'm thinking, what the hell? What just happened? Mark comes over with this 22-pound iron plate, and he goes, look what fell off of that bridge, and drops it by my feet. And I said, I think we should keep that for some reason.
Yeah.
And as it turned out, the kids threw it off the bridge, and it came through. So I'm sitting there, and I remember going around and seeing Sharon, and Mark's about to lay her down. I said, Mark, if you lay her down, she's going to suffocate on all that blood. I don't even know where this is coming from, right? And so he said, okay, and he sits her up, and so I'm sitting back on the guardrail. The ambulance shows up, and they're taking care of her. They put her in an ambulance, and the guy says, anything wrong with you? And I said, I don't know. And he said, what's this? And he points down at a spot on my shirt, just like a little bit of blood, just a little. And I said, I don't know. And I touched it, and my fingers went like so far into my chest. It was like, oh, God. So the guy said, I think we need to take a look at that. They cut the shirt off. I'm saying, no, guys, I got to go to a gig. I'm like going to be late for my show. No. And so they get me to the hospital, Jacoby it was.
Yep.
And they put me on a stretcher, and they take me right into an operating room, and they're asking me, long story short, I won't tell them anything. I'm in shock. I'm not going to tell them my phone number or any of that shit,
Until they
right?
tell you what's
Until they
wrong.
tell me what's wrong, because I
They
don't
had
know what
a priest
happened,
there
right?
to read him his last rites.
Yeah, and I'm saying, I got to go. I have to go to my gig. And they said, you can't go. I said, I'll come back. They said, you won't come back. I said, of course I'll come back. They said, no, you'll be dead in 10 minutes. And it was like, all right, I'll stay. All right, okay, I'll stay. So then I tell them what I need to tell them, and they call Laurie, and then they start to tell me. I said, look, I want to know what you're doing, because you remember we were all into martial arts back then and all into our thing. And I said, I want to know what you're doing. And he said, okay, well, you have a collapsed lung, your ribs are broken in 6 places, and we have to put in a Pleurovac to reinflate your chest, to recreate the, vacuum in your chest. And I said, okay. And he picks up a hose that looks like something that you would connect to a bomb, right? And he said, well, this is it. And I said, okay, what are you going to do with that? He said, well, we're going to have to put this, in between your ribs and get it in, blah, 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 blah. And I said, all right, well, listen, I told you everything you need to know. You can put me out now. And he said, well, I'm sorry, we can't do that. We're not sure whether you have a head injury or not. I said, yeah, my head's fine. He said, no. It doesn't work like that. And all of a sudden, I feel all these hands gripping me, all like on my legs and my shoulders. And this guy I was numb. They put some local on, and then I feel a knife drag across my. And the pain was so holy shit that I just passed out. And the next thing I remember was waking up, and I think Laurie and my friend Chris were there, and the first thing I did was stick my feet out from the bottom of the sheet and make my feet go like that and say, oh, okay.
Yeah, he was in ICU for 5 days.
It was horrifying.
And then in the hospital, the other part for another 3.
So that was...
but yeah, Dave was in the room with Karen Clark, and he asked me to marry him.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. You guys are like, you have that Paul McCartney, Linda McCartney type of relationship where, a lot of people have been divorced or married like 3 times. And it always amazes me because that means like you found your true love. You guys have been
I agree with you, but what you might not know, since we're talking about true love, and I like to think I know a little bit about it, we met in '77. And she was going out with Felix, the bass player in Zebra, and I was still going out with my girlfriend at the time from Portchester. And when Zebra would open for Rat Race, she and I would go outside to the park and just talk about stuff. I
smoke pot.
And
Of course,
smoke
like
pot.
we have to smoke pot, right?
Yeah, you have to smoke pot. And so, we'd sit in my car or whatever. That's where, and we did that for a long, long time.
Yep.
Never crossed the line, never did,
Yeah, because I'm from New Orleans,
Yeah,
so I went up there.
Oh, you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all went and moved into a house in Smithtown, a band house, and we didn't know anybody.
Yes. So, that's a whole other story. But anyway, so there was always something about her that, if you feel it, you feel it. And anytime I would hear her name or I would see a picture of her and blah, 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 but I was going out, she was going out. So I had broken up with my girlfriend, and I went to see actually one of Dave's girlfriends that ex-girlfriends, just
Karen
to hang out and
Caruso.
talk. Karen, did you know Karen Caruso?
Oh yeah, Karen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I go to
There's a lot
Karen.
of Karens in Dave's life.
Yeah, she was my friend.
Makes
She
it
was-
easy.
Yeah, I became friends with her when I was in Felix.
So she was like best friends with Laurie, and so I didn't have any idea. So I break up with my girlfriend at the time, and I've always been friendly with Karen since before Dave, and all the way through it. And I called her up. I said, I'm coming by, and I bopped by, and we were talking, and she said, what's up? And I, this and that. And she says, look at this. And she said, who's coming to New York? And I said, who? And she said, Laurie Kenulette. And I said, who's that? And she takes me over to her refrigerator, and she shows me a picture of her in a bikini. Now, I remember seeing her for the very first time at Speaks. It was like, bang! This is now 5 years later, right? I haven't seen her for a couple of years because whatever.
Yeah, and Felix and I were broken up.
And they were broken up, and
Yeah.
I had broken up with my girlfriend. And she was working at a private airport, and she got asked, they were taking a Learjet up to whatever it is, Butler Aviation, to watch them light the Christmas tree.
At Rockefeller
Center. And so, anyway, one thing led to another, and she wound up coming over to my house, my apartment, and she never left.
And it's been
40,
almost 40 years.
That's been more than
More than 40.
Yeah, more than 40
We've
years.
been married
81.
37.
Christmas
Oh,
81.
I'd love to see that because you don't usually see that anymore, so yeah.
Well, I got to tell you, Bert Hackett said Annie is still beautiful.
Oh boy. Oh, thank you, Bert.
So
Bert,
there's that.
listen, Bert, let me tell you something. I have a friend who's a friend of the show, and he had not, been married or whatever it was for a long, long time, very successful in his business. And I said, you know what? When you're not looking, bang. And sure enough, high school sweetheart, so never say never.
Mm-hmm.
Because it doesn't really matter what I found out. Look, obviously the physical goodness of anything is good, but that doesn't last. You know what I mean? What lasts is the unshakable bond, the honesty, the integrity, the humiliation and the humiliating. I mean, it's you have to go through all of it. And when the thing needs 100% and I only have 20, she has to give 80. And when she only has 10, I have to give 90. And you don't, it's just what it is. And
Yes. You could probably finish each other's sentences by now, right? So
yeah, we
Hey,
sure,
Laurie?
yeah, we absolutely can.
Yeah. And I get to tell my own stories.
Yeah, she gets to tell her own stories. That's right, because she now has her own stories.
I knew about the egg sandwich. So Bert said, "You're very welcome. It's true, Annie."
oh, Bert.
Yeah, see,
I don't know what's going on here.
and
You
we'll be
never know.
right back here on the Love Connection. Actually, we will be right back.
Right,
But
yes, we
I'm
have
going to
to
play.
take a-
I'm going to play an ad, and then Angus. First of all, I can't. First of all, you look great. I
Yeah.
mean, you look like I remember you, even right down to the hair. So Very well played. And it was. I knew we'd have a good time because I knew that we would just talk about stuff that we'd never talked about because we have the musical connection. I mean, I know something about real estate too, but our bond or the thing where we, that unspoken place, that club that you're still a member of, whether you like it or not, is.
Well, I like it.
I know you do. All right, so let me ask you this. I'm going to play a commercial, but I'm going to ask you a question first before, and then I'll play the commercial and I'll come back and I'll ask you the 5 questions. The team will come in and give you the tattoo on your neck. And anyway, if somebody called you up and they said, I have a gig, and after they said that, it ticked all the boxes, would you go?
Would I go? I don't know. It sounds enticing. I would have to see, but listen, those were like the best days of my life, Steve. So
they're still ahead of you.
Right? Those were the best days of our lives back then. 80s, 90s. So I'm not sure. I still get asked to be in bands all the time.
Oh.
Well,
but I get asked.
You keep your stuff on? I mean, do you keep
Yeah,
play?
I still have my acoustic. I still have my bass. I still have my old Jazzmaster, guitar. That is
Jazzmaster. What year?
Yes, yep.
What year is that?
Refurbished. Oh my God, it had to be like a 58. Yeah, Jazzmaster.
Holy Christmas.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then you know what else I have? I have a Dan Armstrong, the acrylic.
Sure.
I have that one. So yeah, I have all my gear. I do. And Dean used to call me and go, oh, there's a band that wants a girl bass player, a girl guitar player. And I'd say, nah, I don't think so. But yeah, it would have to depend on what it is.
Meanwhile, how about Mr. Casual, Dean, down here living his Florida life? Come on.
Yeah, so I'm happy he finally settled down and they moved to Florida, and they seem very happy.
Yeah.
I have a picture of me and Dean standing in front of Stonehenge together.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Oh my God.
Yeah, we've done some traveling with Dean. I got Dean a couple of gigs in his in his tenure.
I think you got him the one with Leslie.
I got him a gig with Leslie. I got him a gig with Dent Whistle. I got him, Yeah.
Meanwhile, Bert Heckett says Skirts reunion show.
Oh.
Yeah, no, we're not. Bert, you know what? We're not doing reunions. We don't do reunions here on Rock and Roll Show and Tell. I'm going to play my commercial. I'm going to come back and ask you the 5 most important questions of your life.
Okay.
And this is a blast, man. It's so good to see you. All right, I'll meet you back here.
Okay.
Bradley's Jewelers in South Fort Myers. Diamonds, bridal, you name it. Estate, custom design, and expert repair. Bradley's Jewelers, South Fort Myers. They specialize in amazing moments.
And there we go. We're back. I saved the Jason's Deli commercial because
it makes everybody hungry.
So they're on the credit roll. But,
okay, time for the questions.
Yeah. So you ready for the big questions?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay. And you don't have to worry because these are all from your past. And first of all, you said something before that you went into real estate when you retired. Was that retired from music?
No, I was working actually at the Mahopac Post Office for like 35 years.
Oh, wow.
Wow, so you got bennies up the wahoo.
Yeah, I have great medical benefits, and I'm very paid right now.
Did you know Chris Peck? He was our old lead singer. You wouldn't know him from then, but he was always my best bud. He worked for the railroad. And his bennies are he's living in Hawaii playing golf every day.
Yeah, it's the way to do it. because
Well, yeah, if you're going to do it, you might as well do it. So, okay, well, so good. All right, here we go. So here's the big questions. Now, I mean, you guys did a fair amount of traveling. It really doesn't matter whether it's the Eastern Seaboard or the Middle East or wherever it is. But when you guys were going to play a gig and you knew you were going to that one place where that special restaurant was, favorite place to eat on the road?
favorite place to eat, probably had to be the Yorktown Diner.
Oh, yeah, we love that too.
Big fan of the Yorktown Diner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, I usually would invite myself. Like when I first met Hey Baby and Budgie, Steve Warner and them, right, Jimmy?
Yeah.
I was saying to myself, gee, I'd really like to spend some time with these guys. So I heard them say they were going to the Mohegan Lake Diner after they were playing at Wet Willie's. Remember on 6N?
Yes.
Septic, right? It always smelled like septic in there.
Wonder why that is.
Yeah, I decided to invite myself to the diner. So when I get to the diner, they all thought that somebody else invited me. But meanwhile, I invited myself because, I wanted to meet these guys.
That's how it's done.
Me and Jimmy have been friends ever since.
That's great. I mean,
yes.
Listen, there's nothing wrong with that, man.
That was
I mean,
a good diner, too.
Yeah, that was a great diner.
Yeah.
I mean, that's when you would get out of playing PJs or Moon Dance or wherever the hell it was.
Gemini.
Or Gemini, especially, yeah.
Like all pile in there, like 20, and then we pick up people along the way.
Yeah.
A lot of fun.
And like I was telling you before, when I was digitizing all these things to do the show, I have a rat race at Gemini video, and you guys are opening for us.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yeah. Now, is that something that you would like to see, or you would never like to see?
Oh, sure. I must have been playing guitar back then, right?
Yeah, well, you were. I tell you, I don't remember you as a bass player. I remember you as a guitar player. As a good guitar player, so,
Well, I was forced into it, like slavery.
Hey, listen, you and John Entwistle, and he didn't do so bad.
That's right.
He was a guitar player back at that point, and Roger.
And Richie Scarlett played bass for Leslie.
Yeah, listen, and Ronnie Wood, who is now certainly a notable guitar player for the Stones, played bass in the Jeff Beck group. So
there's that. Yeah.
Listen, I was interchangeable. It made me more valuable because I could go either way,
Exactly. Well, that's good. Okay. So, all of your bands with Laura, all the bands, all the set lists you've ever played, set list comes out and there it is, your favorite song to play live. Guitar, bass, doesn't matter. Favorite song to play live.
Joan Jett, I love rock and roll.
Good one.
We have a very good friend on the show that works with Joan. And cool. Okay.
Yep.
And now same scenario, only this song, you don't ever want to have to play this song again. Not that, but I have played this song too many times. Don't ever want to play that song. What's that song?
Probably any Blondie song.
Okay.
Just to, like everyone wanted us to do all the girls song, and it just got to be like too much, like Heart of Glass, and it was just any of those Debbie Harry's song. I was like, no, I don't want to do it.
Okay, that's a good answer. And the thing I remember that whole scene. That was the Go-Go's time. That was the what's her name, Dale Bozio time. That
Bangles.
was the Bangles, and man, I mean, but listen, you are lucky that you transitioned into something that you were good at, that you enjoyed, because it's horrible to be good at something that you don't like doing. So,
well, you know what? I remember too, Steve, because we did a lot of our own originals. So every time we would get into a band, somebody would write some really horrible slow song. And I can't remember the names of the songs, but I'd be like, oh my God, how am I going to make it through this song again? Because as musicians, we all have songs that we don't like, but we have to get through it. It's like a comic. that has to tell a joke because people expect them to tell the
Right.
joke, but they really can't stand it. After telling it for like the 100th time.
I get it.
Yep.
I get it. Believe
We
me.
have
I
had
get it.
22 people say
22
they don't ever want to play Brown Eyed Girl again.
Yeah, 22 people have said brown-eyed girl.
That's like-
so. I mean, listen, you're all right with. I think it's.
Blondie.
Did anybody else want Blondie? Or that was
No, we
Okay.
haven't had really many female singers.
no. Well, okay.
Okay.
So let's see. Moving right along now. This is a fun one, and it includes you can't play bass and you can't play guitar. Right? Those two instruments are out. But if you could absolutely kill at anything else, piccolo, temple blocks, Hammond organ, what would it be?
Oh, this is an easy one. Piano.
Piano. Very good.
A lot of guitar players say
A lot of
that.
guitar players
Yeah.
say that. Yeah. I
I mean,
wonder.
even though I have small hands and it was even sometimes hard to play the bass, but I would go with piano, definitely.
Wow. Yeah, that's cool. I grew up with a piano. My mother always had a piano in the house, and it's every voice that there is. It's the lowest note to the highest note of everything that we do. So, that's a cool one. That's a cool
Yeah.
one. Okay, and now the big one. Be careful because your friends are watching. If you could play one gig with anybody or any combination of people, living or dead,
You don't have to know them.
you don't have to know. them.
Yeah.
Who would it be?
Rolling Stones.
Oh, great
right.
answer.
I would like it better if Charlie was still here, but yep, I would definitely, because I'm amazed at that. First, I'm amazed at them that they're still so thin because, they're old. And I'm like, I look at Nick and then I look at Keith and I'm like, they're still in really good shape because, I mean, like we were talking about stamina before, it's tough to be that age and they still tour all over the place. They're amazing. So
Yeah, oh, believe me, I know.
Yeah.
I mean, when I went to New York in 2017 to do the Rat Race reunion, I trained for like I was training for an Olympic event because I wanted to bring everything there. I mean, those guys live it. And you can't take that, you can't take the obligation of being the Rolling Stones for granted, and they don't. And I'm very happy because my buddy Steve Jordan, I mean, rest in peace, Charlie, but Steve Jordan, who was the drummer in the Expensive Winos, got the gig with the Stones. So the field should be right.
I mean, just the history of the Stones, like starting in the 60s. Remember when they had Brian Jones?
Sure.
They
Yeah.
fired him. And just imagine like having to play a gig with them and ask them any questions from like the beginning of their career to like right now. It would be amazing just to be with them.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, that's a good answer.
That's a
So
great answer.
and that includes people living and dead. So there you go. You can have them. All. You can have. Believe me, you can have Charlie back. This is this is
Brian.
my show. Brian can be there. Don't even. What's the other guy's name?
Taylor. Was it Nick Taylor? Was it?
Yeah.
Was it Mick Taylor? Yeah.
Nick Taylor. Yeah.
He
And
can
what about
come.
John's friend that was in there?
And we have-
Charlie, no.
Whose friend?
The bass player that was friends with John, Entwistle.
Who's in there now? Oh, why would you have Bill back?
Bill Wyman.
Yeah. Yep. Hey, listen, and the Stones had some incredible, like, they had sax players, they had, piano players, they had a bunch of people that would tour with them. They have phenomenal backup singers. Remember Gimme Shelter when her voice cracks? Like, that's the best part of the song because it was that little imperfection that made the song what it was, right?
Yeah.
We
And
had.
we have a lot of friends that Bernard Fowler
No,
has
what
been a
about the
friend for
Uptown
years,
Horns?
and the Uptown Horns are the horns that I'm going to actually be
They
having
went
some
on
of those
tour with
guys
them.
on the show. I've already had Crispin on.
Yep.
So that's all China Club guys.
Yep, they
That's,
went on tour with the Stones.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a small crazy ass business, isn't it?
It's fun. I mean, yeah, I mean, listen, that was like the best times of our lives back then. Because, when you're first starting out and, you're just getting a taste for the business, we were nowhere near where you were as far as rat race, but, you were at the top of your game and we were just like starting out. But, thankfully, everyone was very nice to us. They were very accommodating and they were
Well,
trying
did that help you? I mean, because you spent a lot of time with us, obviously, I mean, but I mean, did that help in the grand scheme of things, or did it not matter?
Yeah.
And it helped.
It did, because like when you watch people now you can get anything you want off of like YouTube, but when you had to figure out words that you didn't know, like the singers had it the worst. Laura would sit there, well, what is that word? Like we're trying to figure out what the word is, and you'd put your own words in, but people don't see like how many hours of rehearsal. I mean, they don't see the backstory to they just come see you play, but there's like 200 hours that went into it, like rehearsing like 4 songs or writing songs or recording them.
It's endless. And that's, and that's the thing about it. I mean, the last gig I played was, I have a trio called Dr. Hobbs with Randy Jackson and Larry Hobbs, who was our bass player in the Robin Zander band. And the last gig we played was September 9th, 2019. Mm-hmm. And I haven't been in the room with another musician since then.
Nope.
So I have a full-blown recording studio here, man. I mean, it's like I'm dying to jam with somebody. So I started sending tracks around. I started sending people stuff, but whatever, it is what it is. And so then I decided to do this, and I have reconnected with hundreds of people in the past couple of years that I would have never reconnected with, present company included. So there you go.
So thank you for coming on.
Well, now you got to come in on a Friday. They told you about Free for All Friday, right? Or did they?
Yeah.
Oh, Free for All Friday is any maniac that's ever been on the show. It's the same key to get in. And you got to believe me, in real estate, you're the Zoom guru, so I know. And so it's the same key, no matter where you are. If you're showing a house, if you're on the lake, wherever, anytime between 7 and 8 on any Friday, you can just pop in and say...
One guy comes in from Aruba, one comes in from Antigua. Lenny from the Good Rats comes in from Antigua.
And another from Costa Rica.
Yeah.
It's like, it's insane.
Yeah.
And it's fun. And it's funny. And it's all high road. So, I mean, organize it with Russ and Laura, but they need to be in separate rooms.
That shouldn't be hard.
We can work it out. We'll get sheets or something.
Yeah.
No.
We'll work it out. Listen, thank you so much, Andy. It's great to see you. I'm really happy for all your success. I hope I get to see you in person at some point somewhere down the road. But thank you for being here.
That would be great, Steve. Thank you so much. Lori, it was great connecting with you guys again. So again, thanks for having me on the show.
Hey, thanks for coming in, and we hope to see you on a Friday.
Yeah, we hope to see you on a Friday because they really are fun. So anyway, God bless you, darling. Be happy, and I'll see you soon.
Okay, bye.
Bye, Annie.
Wow, man.
That was great.
And I tell you what, I haven't seen her in, I mean, we could do the math, but man, she looks great.
Time. Since the 80s.
And so you Westchester people, if you're looking for the, I like to spread the, like the
looking
little
for
bean.
a house, go to Annie Hoffman.
Yeah, go see Annie. And she's got beautiful homes and one right for you.
Okay.
Thinking of leaving Florida? Go ahead. Get out. No. Anyway, I'm sorry. I just crushed
Rimmy's
his
head is under Steve's
God, he's
feet.
got to be like so close.
We should have named him Velcro.
Really, and I should have.
All right,
Anyway,
so tomorrow
so,
night, everybody,
You know
is
what it is? Free
Free
for
for
all
All Friday. We won't have Booker here because he's got a gig.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. So I may, depending on who comes and when they come, and I mean, there's always, you never know who's going to come. But I'll be prepared with some other stuff just in case.
We'll get
And
people.
yeah, you know.
Okay.
Okay, well that's it.
Yeah.
So if I don't see you in the future, I'll see you in the pasture.
Good night, everybody.
Take care, kids.